So, the old Fiesta had been using roughly 120 to 160 millilitres of oil between changes, or around 40 ml per 1,000 miles in the first 3 years of ownership. Quite acceptable and nothing to worry about, especially considering it had 219,000 miles on the clock when we bought it. The oil consumption had begun to edge up from about 240,000 miles to around 100 ml per 1,000 miles. This also coincided with a slowly increasing number of drips on the garage floor and oil residue on the bottom of the engine. Some of the loss may have been from the crank main seals at either end of the engine and possibly a little oil being burnt somehow. There's also a tiny leak from the cam box join, but that's been there from the beginning. I've used conventional thick sticky goo additives from everyone's favourite American additive brands back in the good old bad old days. Maybe okay in a BMC-A series or a Ford Kent engine on their last legs, because those additives work partly by thickening the oil. However, this in turn reduces cold flow, so aren't a great idea in 21st century engines with hydraulic tappets, variable valve timing, tighter tolerances, and all those other little oil ways to get through. The purpose of this job is all about catching the problem early, not going for that last resort hope for the best sticky goo. So I set about looking for a gentle, lightweight oil additive that will re-supple the oil seals. Some popular modern additives use paraffin bases that effectively swell the seals to make them oil tight. Good for a short-term fix, but likely to cause seal degradation not too far down the line. So my research led me to a product called AT-205 Reseal from ATP Automotive in the US. The product appears to be exactly what I was looking for. Furthermore, prolific online mechanic Scotty Kilmer has reviewed it a few times and it sounds ideal. However, I couldn't find a direct supply or a sensible price for the product here in the UK. An email to ATP Automotive confirmed they don't distribute it here, so it was back to square one. I've used a couple of Miller's Oil products over the years, at least one in the Fiesta videos, and found them to be good quality. So I had a rummage through their website on the off chance they may have something suitable. Voila! They list a product called Stop Leak. The Stop Leak page, technical sheet and safety sheet don't give away much about the chemistry of the product. They do, however, list the oil with an SAE 10 viscosity to be added to the oil in an engine or gearbox to help minimize leaks, and has a barely perceptible odor. So it's light, aimed at oil seals, and doesn't smell like paraffin. I emailed Miller's technical department inquiring if their Stop Leak product is a direct equivalent of AT-205 Reseal. Their prompt reply said, "This is certainly the one we have to offer." Sounds like a kind of yes to me. So let's take a look at the leaks and drop some Stop Leak in with a fresh oil change.
There's certainly signs of an oil leak going on here, possibly more than one. There's the front main seal area there, and there's certainly quite a bit of wet around it, which is transferred across around the sump and collected on the AC motor as well. And looking towards the gearbox join to the engine, there's also moisture just there, just here, which could be any one of three things really. It could be the rear main oil seal, it could be the gearbox oil seal, or it could even be the clutch release bearing hydraulics leaking. So not quite sure about that yet, So what we need to do is find an easy solution, hopefully. So that's kind of led me to go into the route of popping in the millers, and more about that in a second. So with the aid of some brake clean, on this time I've used Padgett. It just happens to have been the best buy at the time, but any brake clean will pretty much do the same job. I've given it a good clean under here to get rid of as much of that oil as possible, and give us a sort of a starting point really to see if the stop leak has actually cured the problem from one of the oil seals, or if we've actually got something that's a little bit more major. So that will give us half a chance at actually seeing where it's coming from.